Now with my UV editor visible, I'm going to select my can, and inside the UV editor, I'm going to go to Image, create PSD network. And from the network, I'm going to direct the image to my source image folder and give it a name. Save it. And in here I can determine the size I want. I'm going to leave a default setting. It's usually at 1024 by 1024. If I was going to be doing a close-up render or animation where this cocan was a prominent element, I might make this a larger number to have a higher resolution texture map, but this will be fine for our demo. I'm going to come down to the attributes and I'm going to choose color. And now I want to move this feature over to the selected attributes. So I'm going to click on this icon, and now I'm going to hit apply. And you'll notice that the can becomes deselected, and you'll notice that the UV editor is now empty, and that means you were successful in exporting it. I've opened up the UV map that was generated in Maya. And if you take a look at the layer window, you'll see that there are a number of elements here. There's UV Snapshot, which is the wireframe reference, the UV map. And then there is a folder with the checkerboard pattern in it. Anything that we want to show up on the geometry of our can has to be down inside this folder. Now we don't need the checkerboard, so I'm going to select it, and I'm going to get my default black, and I will just fill that layer with black so that now I can see my UV map a lot easier. Often enough, you may want to lock this down so you don't accidentally edit it by accident. Or move it, which is even more critical. I'm going to get a rough texture I created and place it in my UV map. I'm going to save, and I'm going to jump into Maya, select my geometry, right-click, choose Material Attributes, and if I click on the icon in which I introduced the checkerboard pattern, I'll click on that. It takes me to the reload. I want to click on Reload, and then up here next to PSD file text, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to break the transparency. Now, I just did this to illustrate the point that I don't see my texture. So I'm going to return to Photoshop, and if I take a look, my textures have appeared above the UV map and outside the folder. So I'm simply going to move those down into the folder, Command S to save, jump back in, click to reload, and I'm going to go back and break the transparency. And you can see we've got our Coke can roughed in. Now, I could go back to Photoshop and straighten this out, but also in Maya, if I chose to, I could go into the texture editor. And I'm going to turn the texture on here by clicking on that little mountain range icon. And if I were to zoom in on my UV map for the can, I can now right-click, choose shell, select that shell, and with my move tool and my scale tool if necessary, I can redistribute and change the size of the UV map and bring in the can top a little bit more accurately. Back to my object mode and save.